Welcome to We Hear Her. I'm Erin Trenbeth Murray, and I'm here today with another amazing woman who is sharing her story and insights into life lessons learned. Hi there, I'm Erin Trenbeth Murray, and thank you for being here for the We Hear Her podcast for women who succeed. Today we are with my good friend, Melissa Hart, and I love so much her being here because I usually get to see her. Well, we talk all the time, but we have places up in Eden, and it's a special place, and I love having a close friend up there now. Melissa and I have just gotten to know each other the last few months more in depth. I'm excited to talk to Melissa because she has such a diverse background. She has her own consulting firm, 215. She is also a huge advocate in so many arenas with the nonprofit world and social impact work, as well as film. And I just have really gotten to enjoy knowing her. That plus she's an avid skier, all kinds of outdoor fun things that I can't wait to dive into. But thank you for joining us. And Melissa, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me, Erin.
Yes, I'm so happy you're here. I mean, I love seeing you up in snowy Eden also.
It's a beautiful place.
I can't believe how much you come down to Salt Lake.
I know I'm down here more than I should be. I should be staying up in Eden. It's beautiful up there.
I know, but there's so much here too.
Yes.
So you just moved to Eden. You came back from living in Seattle, correct? And tell us a little bit about your background. Just to maybe give us a little bit of Melissa 101.
Thanks, Erin. So I actually grew up in Seattle on a little island called Mercer Island, which is
Oh, an island?
Yeah, I grew up on an island. There were bridges. We didn't have to use the ferry system, which was nice, but it was on the east side of Seattle, so not out into the Puget Sound. It's in a freshwater lake, and I absolutely loved growing up there. It was a beautiful spot. It's a very quiet little bubble of a space to grow up into. And when I was in high school, my girlfriend and I decided to do rowing. And so we went and tried out for the rowing team in my sophomore year and absolutely loved it. And that's really where I feel like a lot of my life just started to take off because it was such a challenging sport. I think it's actually the hardest sport that you can do, just physically, emotionally, mentally, because it's a full body workout. And just absolutely loved it. So I got selected to go to the US development team. I was on the US national team, the
Oh
junior
my
national team,
gosh.
and then was recruited to go row at Duke University. So I did that for my undergrad years and absolutely loved being at Duke. It's just the most beautiful place. I loved living in North Carolina. The school was amazing. The people were amazing. We got to sleep on the sidewalk for basketball games and sleep in tents
Oh, yeah.
outside of
Oh, yeah.
Shashtiville. It was just amazing. So absolutely loved that. I lived in Madrid in Spain for a little while and then came back and did graduate school in sociology. I was doing a doctoral program and was studying, human patterns and behavior and demographics and just changes in people's choices, fertility, time use, all of that, and loved that experience. And then, had some interesting life changes that brought me here to Salt Lake and moved into the social impact world and have been doing that for the last 10 years and have absolutely loved that shift of taking, the experiences that I've had and the talents that I've developed and being able to give back to my community. So,
Oh my gosh, there's so much to unpack there. First of all, you lived on an island
yes.
on a freshwater lake. I mean, like, who gets to do that? But your years doing, now tell me the correct name. Did you say crew?
Yeah, so it's crew
Crew-
or rowing.
Crew
So
or
crew
rowing,
is the
okay.
sport and then rowing's kind of the verb.
Crewing or crew is
Rowing,
not
yeah.
really, really big in Utah. I haven't seen a lot of it
No.
on the Great Salt Lake.
No, I think they have a team out
Uh-huh.
on the Great Salt Lake.
Well,
Yeah.
are you going to do it at Pineview this summer?
I should.
You should
I
crew.
need, I need to go buy a little single person boat. It's a tricky sport because you do have to have a team to
I'll be
do
on
the
your
real
team.
stuff. We could do a double.
Yeah, that sounds kind of hard. I kind of like laying on my paddleboard
Yeah.
and just floating around.
Yeah, it's a very aesthetic sport. So it's very quiet. Usually you want to do it when the water's calm. That doesn't always happen for races, but it's a very calm and peaceful sport if you can do it alone in a single boat and not in a race. Outside of that, it's extremely demanding.
So, my impression of you, one of the things that I have absolutely loved and adored in getting to know you about, of course, the light you have. I mean, you're just a magnet for
Thank you.
positivity and energy. Like people draw to you. And I, of course, love that. Um, but you also have come across to me as someone really resilient.
Mm.
And I'm wondering if some of that resiliency or that tenacity or work ethic
Mhm.
came from some of your experiences doing crew
Yeah.
because it was so demanding, or you were already that kind of person, so you were made to do that kind of sport. What do you think?
Oh, my dad started us in sports when we were really little. I was skiing at 3,
Mm-hmm.
and he loved windsurfing, and we had a boat because we lived on a lake, and so he would take us out to water ski at 5 in the morning. So my dad was just a very driven and strong-willed man, and
Yeah.
so he put us into a lot of really interesting situations, and I think he had a little compassion fatigue as a physician because he had no tolerance
Interesting.
for any
that,
complaining.
that was funny. You just
Yeah.
put us in a lot of interesting situations.
There were quite a few moments, we can laugh about them now. They weren't very funny as children of,
Yes.
I think we'll just go over that mountain because it would be quicker than taking the trail. There was a lot of that growing up. And there was no appetite for us having an opinion
Yeah.
about not doing
Right.
the
I think my
activity.
father must have been your father.
They were probably friends. That's probably why we liked
Yeah.
each other.
I know.
Yeah, so that didn't that definitely contributed to it. And then my mom started me into basketball when I was in 6th grade, and I went there in these cute little pink sweatpants with little lacy socks. And there was just something inside of me that just sort of woke up. And my mom said she was watching on the side and thought, is that my daughter? Because I was just so excited and aggressive and just enjoyed doing sports so much. So when I started into rowing, I think I felt a little bit timid about it because rowing you can't really start until you're about 12, 13 anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And I was closer to 15. And so I felt like I was a little behind in
Oh,
it
uh-huh.
because there were a couple people who had been doing it longer. But just something about the sport and the aesthetic of it, I just absolutely loved it. And you do have to be really mentally tough. And I remember our very first erg test where they put you out on the rowing machine and they set it to 2,000 meters and they just say, go as hard as you possibly can. You just have to row as hard as you can for the entire until the meters run out on the machine. And I finished that first one and I had, the score that I just wasn't expecting. They weren't expecting. And I just thought, oh, this is great.
This is fun.
This is fun. Let's do this. And so that kind of just launched the career because that's how they kind of measure you is they put you on these erg machines and then they nationally rank you off of your score against other people across the US. So
So the sport, it appears to me, very dependent on one another.
mhm.
Wondering what life lesson you've learned out of it could be that or basketball. What have you learned
Yeah.
out of the team sports you've participated in? What are some values that you've
Yeah.
learned?
I I loved my high school team and we had a great experience and we worked really well together. And I think it was interesting. We actually won the junior national championships in the US. We flew to
Mm.
Ohio and it was so funny because our team, it was a 4-person boat and we practiced terribly. I mean, the boat never was set. It never went right. We rowed horribly in practice. And then something would happen, this magic would happen, we'd sit on the start line, and as soon as we'd hit a race, somehow we all just came together and it
Mm.
went beautifully well, and we were so good. We would win with, like, 6, 7 boat lengths of open water.
Mm.
We won nationals, I think, with, like, 3 or 4 boat lengths of open water, and there was no reason why we should have been that good in a race because we practiced so terribly together, and I started to realize that there's this idea in our minds of like things have to go a certain way. Life has to look a certain way. We have to always be on. Things have to always work out. It should be just going according to plan. And nothing ever does.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean that you don't still have talent or magic, or that if you find a certain group of people that you really, when the time counts, you really do
Can
pull
come together.
together and you create something really beautiful. So, and it was just so funny because even in that boat, we weren't really even friends with each other. I mean,
Mm.
it was an 8-person boat we were hoping would have taken to nationals and won. And in kind of the last minute, my coach said, well, let's throw the 4 of you together, put you in a boat at one of our races. And then and everyone was fighting all through the warm up.
But then it came
But
together.
they just came together
Well, and that's
magically.
kind
Yeah.
of with your life. I mean, you have now landed in Eden with your
Yeah.
mama being
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, we live a
And
mile away from each other.
I
It's so
know, I
fun.
love that. What do you think some of the spoke a little bit about your dad. What are some life lessons that your mom has imparted to you that you found that
Mm.
have helped motivate and keep you on a path?
Yeah, my mom is probably the most incredible person that I know. She has the biggest heart and she's extremely resilient and optimistic. I mean, we've had some hard things in our family and she just continues to love and show up. And I think the most impressive thing about her is her growth mindset. So
Mm,
she's an avid reader. She reads hundreds of books every year and has just always committed herself to being better than she was the day before. And I've loved that about her. And she's also very outdoorsy, which is not typical. I mean, her sisters are a little bit active, but my mom is extremely outdoorsy and she really prioritizes that. And I've really admired that about her that she has said, I'm my best when I'm outside and I get some quiet time to myself to road bike or hike. And she's very independent. So she just heads out on those trails and never tells us where she's going.
sees the
So
moose,
yes,
runs
sees
into
the
a moose.
moose.
So
Yeah.
almost, out
Yeah.
of everyone that I have interviewed, I have never had someone say that part about their mom, about
Mm,
the love of the outdoors and the
yeah.
peace that it brings her. And what a great role model.
Yeah.
I mean, for that,
Mhm.
that's fantastic.
Yeah, and she's very clear about it. She will go out and she will get her Saturday morning workout,
Hmm.
and then you can play with her.
Yeah.
You know, she has to take care of herself
I
first.
like it.
And it's been really a beautiful boundary. And I've loved watching her do that because it's helped me realize no, you really do have to take care of yourself. You need to figure out what you love and make sure you do a little piece of that every day to be
Hmm.
able to stay grounded. And it's where I regenerate every day is I go out into nature and just kind of soak in the
Yeah.
outdoors. So,
You have a son and a daughter.
mhm.
What do you think when your daughter looks at you? What do you think she would say about the characteristics that she hopes she has someday that are in her
Oh,
mom?
interesting. My daughter is so cute. She's 11 and a half, going on 37. I always
Mhm.
say she's very mature, but she talks a lot about how she loves that I am very confident and outspoken, and I was not those things when I was her age. And so I'm always
Mm,
complimentary of her that she is so confident now and she's very articulate and she's very clear about what she wants and doesn't want. She's very good about asking for exactly what she wants, which is something that took me a really long time to learn how to do that. Like our
mhm.
opinions were not solicited on the
Right.
weekends of what we wanted to do. And so it's been really fun to watch her kind of step into that. And so she would say that, and she tells me this all the time, how much she loves and adores me. And I keep telling her, this is going to end.
No, it's not.
You're,
But
you're
what
headed to your teen
but
years.
what
Yeah.
characteristics of do you think she looks at you and says, "I hope I do this. I'm like
Yeah.
this and this from my mom."
I mean, I think she really likes that I am really fun with them.
Yeah.
And so she loves that about me. She
Yeah.
always says, you're a fun mom. There's not
You
a
are the
lot of
fun
mom.
mom.
Yeah.
You're
There's
not even my mom, but you're very fun.
yeah, she loves that. So I turn on music a lot and I dance with them and we lip sync and run around the kitchen together. And when it's time to clean up, we turn on music and make it fun. And I've really tried to make our family a team because it's just the three of us.
Yeah.
And I think she really likes that, I'm fun and positive and she loves that I'm confident. She gets annoyed that I talk to everyone, but she
Yeah.
says, I love that you are so friendly and warm with everyone. She's like, you really do love everybody. And
You
it's
do.
true. I
You
do.
do. Well,
Yeah.
everybody loves you too. I mean, you're like, you have this energy about you that you're like, this is a really good person. I think I would like to be right by her.
Thank
So
you.
I've really enjoyed getting to know you and building a
Yeah.
friendship with you. And
No,
you have
I've loved our time.
you're so many hidden talents. You're this quagmire to me because you're like really fly by the seat of your pants
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
fun and easygoing and you
Mhm.
can roll with it. And then there's this other side to you that is really driven. And now it's all kind
Yeah,
of
it's all coming together.
coming together here. So
Right.
few more lunch dates
Yeah.
and then I'll have you
Right.
all figured out.
I know. I think I was more driven and I've tried to tone that down a little
Hmm.
bit. I think kids humble you. And obviously life has humbled me a little bit too of just
Yeah.
learning how to be a little bit more laid back about things
Yeah.
because, yeah, too many years being too driven. So
Right. I feel
I'm
you.
glad you're describing me that way because that's a good
You're my
change.
role model. Yes. Well, with the young women, on that note, as we kind of wrap up, is there
Mm,
any advice that you would give
mm.
to the young women that maybe expound upon that about something? If you were 16, let's do it this way. If you were 16, what advice would you give your 16-year-old self?
Probably tell her that, things are just not going to turn out the way that you think that they will. You're going to lay out a plan, you're going to think things are going to go a certain
Mm,
way, and they just really won't. And to really love and accept that different story that's going to be your life. It's taken me a really long time to look back and accept the way that my life turned out,
mm,
because I was really driven and I thought that who I married, that things would work out. I thought that things would go differently. I had a very different view in mind entirely of my life. And, I'm rolling up on the 10-year mark of things getting really, really hard in my life. And
mm.
on March 11th of 2023 will be my 10-year mark of just, and I'm hoping that I'm just launching into a better season after this because it's been a really hard decade and very good for me, but very hard. And I think my younger self thought things were going to go more smoothly or differently. And I wish that I had had more grace for myself along the way of
Right.
it's not going to look the way that you want it to. And that's okay. That's actually really wonderful because the universe has your back. You're going to go in a different direction than you thought you would. I thought I was going to be a professor at a university. And now I get to help social causes. I got to run a
Mhm.
foster care organization and work with these incredible children who helped shape how I saw the world. I never thought that was going to happen and never thought I was going to be a single mom. And that has been actually really fun. I've enjoyed being able to set the tone of my family and,
Mm,
read a lot of parenting books. My son's on the spectrum, so I've learned a lot from raising him. He's a very unique and special individual who's non neurotypical and has challenged everything I've ever thought I knew about children or parenting in the best way possible because he's just not been what I thought he was going to be. And
yeah.
again, it wasn't until I accepted that it's just different and that's okay. That's just not what you thought it would be. But it's wonderful. And so that younger self, I think, just was really nervous that, I wouldn't do things perfectly or right, or they wouldn't, go the certain way. And, I look back at her and I just have grace for her of, so many good and bad are coming, and they're all going to kind of work together to create a really beautiful life. I actually really love my life. It's very different than I thought it would be, but I really do love and enjoy it. And I love my kids. We have the best time together. So,
You are a great mom. You talk about them all the time, and
yeah.
I just I'm so glad that I've gotten to know you because
Yeah.
you've brought a lot to my life.
Thank
And
you.
those
Loved
those
getting to
those unrealistic expectations or plans, especially for women who are driven,
know.
who feel like it's going to be A, B, C, D,
Yeah.
E. I really appreciate your positive attitude of we're just going to see where this goes,
Right.
and
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
and there that flexibility that comes in. So
Mhm.
I hope that for all of you watching today, that was something that you can take to heart. That we don't always need to have things laid out in a perfect plan, and there's going to be different journeys and paths that we're going to go on, and to give yourself some grace, which I love so much from my friend Melissa. So thank you for being with us today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for taking the time to hear her. Join our efforts and learn more about women who succeed at womenwhosucceed.org.